There's a difference between an unintentional butt and a bite.
Accidental Butt is back with the Kell Brook vs Errol Spence fight prediction. This fight should be very entertaining, and for me it's going to be a pick'em fight. Errol Spence has the better skill set between the two, and I'd give Spence the power edge in this fight too. But I also see Kell Brook having the better hand speed, movement, chin, heart and jab between them. Spence works the body better than Kell Brook does, and we've seen Kell Brook break down late in the fight before against Carson Jones. So that bodywork could be a problem later in the fight for Kell Brook. But Errol Spence hasn't been past 10 rounds himself either. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the fight plays out if it goes late in the fight. Kell Brook has the advantage of fighting in his own backyard, and also the fact he's the champion, fighting with an English referee, and the English crowd all play against Spence in this fight, and it's going to be very hard for him to overcome. Kell Brook does get busted up a lot in his fights. Carson Jones had him a bloody mess in their first fight, and he's coming off a bad injury in his last fight against Triple G when he broke his orbital bone. So how's his face going to hold up to the power of Spence's punches? Although I do think that Spence's power is a bit overrated. Sure, he stopped Chris Algieri when Pacquiao couldn't, and he also stopped Bundu when Thurman couldn't. Those are great wins for Spence, don't get me wrong, but Algieri is really a super lightweight. Bundu was a 41-year-old guy who had fought mostly in Italy, and he had a tailor-made style for Spence. Kell Brook moves better on his feet than what Spence does. Spence is a very flat-footed fighter, and he doesn't move his head much either. Spence being a southpaw made trouble Brook, but Brook is 7-0 all by knockout versus southpaws. But then they weren't on the level that Errol Spence is. I think Spence has the better defence between the two. Kell Brook gets hit a lot, but you can't question the heart of Kell Brook. Whereas there's still questions about how Spence will do when the going gets tough. Kell Brook showed he had a ton of heart in that first Carson Jones fight, and then again by fighting arguably the hardest punch at middleweight in Triple G, when it seemed like nobody else wanted to fight Triple G. Brook did, and he even had his moments where he did very well in that fight. I said before that Kell Brook gets hit a lot more than he should. Errol Spence gets hit a lot more than he should too. Against Latte, he got rocked with a big right hook when he was throwing an uppercut from too far away. He was winning the fight up till then, and he got on his bike for the next 2 rounds and ran. It's the only time he's been 10 rounds. So how's his chin going to hold up when Kell Brook finds the mark? And Kell Brook will find the mark. He's an elite fighter. He's the first elite fighter that Spence has fought. Latte is just a journeyman. He's lost 3 fights in a row. The quality of opponents is fairly even if you ask me. But Kell Brook has the best win out of the two on his record with his win over Sean Porter. And Sean Porter would give any welterweight in the world trouble. But if you measure up their first 21 fights, then you got to give the better record to Spence. And Kell Brook's only got one big name on his record and he's had nearly 40 fights. Kell Brook has boxed twice as many professional rounds as Spence has, 184 to 77 for Spence. But then again, that's 37 fights to 21 fights. Fighters, when they move up and down in weight, don't have a good history at all, and Kell Brook moved up to middleweight to fight Triple G, and now he's dropping all the way back down to welterweight, so how's his body going to handle the change? No matter what happens in this fight, Kell Brook deserves his respect for even taking this fight. He's coming off his first loss against Triple G. He could have taken the tune-up fights, taken the easy road, but he didn't. He's jumped straight in the deep end fighting Errol Spence, when he could have taken a lot easier fights. So whatever happens, please give this man his respect, because he deserves it. It's all heart taking this fight. My final prediction for this fight is Kell Brook to win it on points. And from a betting point of view, you'd be silly not to put some money on Kell Brook, because this fight really could go either way. And with the odds, he's a huge underdog, so you'd be silly not to put some money on Kell Brook. But this fight really could go either way, so I wouldn't be betting your house on it, that's for sure.
There's a difference between an unintentional butt and a bite.